Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it is time once again for Heroes Jubilee, everybody's favorite ranking event next to Ranked Valor Cup. Although at least this one gives crystals, right? So we'll be taking on normal 1 of the Jubilee Catalyst number 37 today. This is a space-focused area. So, I mean, we've gotten more than a few space units recently. A lot of them are very good, and we are capped out on damage along with the other sweats right here. So it's possible. We got 4 teams for you to show off. They don't do all that much, except they do poison you on turn 2. So if you want that max score, you're going to have to bring Gobta, the 3-star Gobta, or 4-star, one of them. But, the summonable Gobta that has the poison dodge. But before we get started, let's go over the disclaimers. Number 1 is that your results may vary because my units and dupes and levels and everything are different. This video is to give you an idea of what to do, and then you gotta manage it with whatever box you have available. Disclaimer number 2 is these are the units I use for protection gauge, and if I use them at all in this video, these are the ones that do skill points on turn 1 and multiple turns. And then disclaimer number 3 is please do not forget to go into your town and optimize your space magic building so your space nukers can do more damage. But with that said, let's get started. Alright, the first team, the max score team, looks like this. They aren't geared right now because I've been switching around and doing videos, but this is the team setup. The new Violet, old Violet, other old Violet, Blanc, the 4-star Gobta, because turn 1 is built for his orb change, and he has that guaranteed poison dodge, which is going to come in very, very necessary if you want that max score. If you don't need to use it, just forget about it. And then Violet's here to buff, and Jean is here to actually nuke. We're only going to nuke one of the ants, right? Ants? Yeah, ants. Because we want to take as little damage as possible, and we need to take out 2 of them for this to actually work. So let's go ahead and bring the clip up. Alright, so I fast forward a little bit. I already did the orb change and swapped Gobta out and brought in our 2 ladies that were in the back. And so we're sending this full 6-hand against one of the ants right here. I'm gonna get him low. And then turn 2 is not really great. And the important thing that you need to take note is that everyone's taking 1 damage. And that's pretty much the only thing you can do. If Gobta gets hit by anything, he will take more than 1 damage, and your max score run will be over. So here, I think we're just going to bring him in and then send the 4 Jean Orbs and use the poison dodge and give everybody guaranteed poison evasion, because all 3 of them do it. So you have 3 different procs that you need to dodge, and if you just use Gobta, then you're in the clear. And he also cannot get hit. So miss, alright, 1 damage, miss, and 1 damage. Perfect. If they also pierce you for whatever reason, your max score run is over. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. We've got 77 points now, so let's go ahead and bring in Violet for Gobta. We can change those 2 orbs with her, and then we can change the rest with the other Violet. And here, we're not even going to get the EX ult for Jean. We don't need it because of how powerful she is. What we do need to do is we need to take out this middle ant. Specifically the middle ant, because the one on the right has a whole bunch of guard, and he also nerfs our guard penetration this coming turn, which means that we'll do, most of the time, 1 damage to him, so we're not in danger of accidentally killing him with too much. So here's that nerf right there. Also take 1 damage on this AoE, perfect. And now, turn 4, we just need to get enough points to use 3 of the big time buffs. So that's what we're going to do here. Oh, we use Lumi instead. Sorry, I don't, Sorry, yeah, we're using Lumi. Why did I put Violet in the beginning of this video? Sorry, anyways. Yeah, we use Visions of Coleus Lumi, by the way. My bad. I mean, she does almost the same thing, so stacks 12% attack. Except she gives synergy now, which we're going to bank on. But here, because of that nerf, we're doing 1 damage. And Violet, because she was in the back, was not nerfed, so she's doing a little bit extra. That's fine. If you don't guard, or if it doesn't guard, pretty much it's going to die at this point. So now we have 2 stacks of Lumi. Yep, 2 stacks, and we have enough points to use 3 of the big time buffs, the Blanc buff, the first Jean buff, and then the magic buff with Violet. and that will get you to that 1.4 million damage cap right there. So 1, 2, 3. We also had a charm on to give Jean extra ult gauge, because no one else has attack gear on except her, so she is guaranteed to have the most. And we do 1.3, combined with all the other damage we've done, pushes us above that 1.4 million cap, up to 1.5. We've taken 9 damage because the multiplier is 0, so there is the max score. If you don't care about max score, you just want to get the run and you have this team, you don't have to bring Gobta, you don't have to take 1 damage every time. So, I mean, if you don't want to try that hard, then certainly don't. You don't have to. But this is the max score team, and let's come back with some alternates. Alright, next up, we have a brand new space AoE nuker in Diablo, and he can orb change turn 1. Or we can bring the Tempest Elite free-to-play Gobta, who also has, that turn 1 orb change for blues. Either way really works. This time we're bringing Violet, my bad. Violet, Space Jean again, Gobta, Shizu, and then free-to-play Misery and Diablo himself. So we're going to AoE nuke with Diablo. We're not bringing any poison evasion. We're not going for that max score run. We're going to just take the poison, deal with it. If we get pierced, oh well, whatever. I just want to hit at least the damage cap with this team, which certainly will. So, turn 1, we've got Gobta's orb change, call it good. That means we can save Diablo's in the back for a different turn. We'll bring him in, and we'll bring Misery in, since she's got the protection gauge underneath her. And then we're going to spread kind of this damage out throughout the fight. So, Diablo will do a lot of damage if you send him last, because he does have, everything going for him. So, maybe not the best idea. Yeah, and especially if they don't guard, you're going to do a lot. But, it is what it is. This turn works out fairly well. Like, there's already a Pierce right there. Doesn't really matter. Albedo is going to take more damage than 1 anyways. So, we can use both Diablo and Misery's buffs right here. Also, you don't need an EX ult to hit the damage cap with this team. You can just get a normal ult because of the power of the buffs that we have. So that's very nice. So 1, 2, boom. Don't really need to use anything else. The Pierce resistance down also helps. I almost mess up because I remember that Shizu is not a Primal Demon, and it wouldn't have changed that orb. So we bring Jean in. Now we can get a full hand of blues. Now we can not send the orbs on that ant. We can concentrate on the middle. Again, leaving the ant on the right for when we have that nerf going on, because, look at all that damage we're doing. This time we're not sending Diablo last, because he would have killed, and it's not what I want if we're trying to AoE nuke here. There's the poison. Misery dodged the first one, but not the second one. Doesn't matter. Again, this is not the max run. So we're going to get a Diablo ult here, which is good, because we only need a normal ult. So let's orb change. We can use Gobta's because it's cheap and we only have 2 orbs. Misery puts more pierce resistance down on them. Another stack of Violet. And we can now kind of semi-safely send these orbs against the ant on the right. Maybe 1 orb on the left. There we go. And then we'll send everything else. He can take that 1 Diablo orb. Yeah, just barely. And now we're going to get that nerf, and now we're going to do 1 damage to this ant. So we're safe in sending turn 4. Thank God that we have characters that can swap out. And alt swap, sorry. We have Misery and Gobta can both do that, which is nice. Not that we really need both of them here, but we certainly can. So Misery can just straight up leave, right? So we can just bring Gobta in, and we can alt swap, and we can orb change because we have that blue incoming. Either way really works, or we could just use Shizu, because she does it too. And then we'll have a full hand of blues again. Next turn we'll have enough points. We're going to do 1 damage to this ant. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. A magical 1. Right? Ooh, no, did not guard, so we did 18,000. We took him down a little bit, which, does help. But turn 5, we are ready to nuke at full powers, so the Shizu buff. And then we'll bring Space Jean in for her buff as well, 100% ult damage, and then we'll use Diablo's buff, the physical and pierce rate buff. And then we'll put 1 more stack of Violet on, and that will give us plenty of damage. Again, 1.4 million is the magical number, and we're going to do, quite a bit. Quite a bit more than that. So, while we didn't hit, max score cap because we took damage, we definitely went over the damage cap itself. So 75, 430, not a terrible loss. So Diablo, can definitely get the job done. Alright, time to make one of the worst units usable. Albedo is magic and is space and is AoE. So she's fitting all of the conditions necessary to make herself a quote-unquote viable nuker in this stage. And, you know, it doesn't nerf any orbs, which means that as long as we get turn 1, we can, you know, run a green focus team. It doesn't really matter. So we've got Overlord Rimuru, Nabe, Shoutier, Shizu, and Albedo. We've brought back the Poison Gobta so we can try and avoid that, just to see if we can actually get a good run with Albedo. Spoiler alert, we do, surprisingly. I actually didn't expect much out of this team, and I got it in like the second run or something. We don't hit damage cap, but I mean, if your Albedo has dupes, if you have a little bit more luck for orbs, then you certainly can. Not a big deal. So turn 1, we'll use Gobta, get this full hand of blues. That's going to get us actually enough to get 2 stacks of Rimuru immediately, which is very, very nice. And then we'll just send it, right? She's going to do decent amounts of damage. Nobody else is. Again, no one else has gear on, or attack gear, except for Albedo. That way we can do as little damage as possible and keep these ants alive. Cool, you know, about half. Very good hand right there, though. Very good hand, except we do, on this particular team, have to use the poison dodge. And we don't have enough points to do 2 orb changes and the poison dodge. So if you wanted to get a very good run with this team, you would need to have like a perfect orb change with 1 skill and then the poison dodge. You know, not a super big deal on this team. I'm not expecting much out of it, but we are at least going to poison dodge here. So we'll bring Gobta in. We'll just use the 1 skill, I think. Yeah, just use the 1, and then we'll send, I think, the Albedo orbs or the greens. I can't remember which ones I do. Just the Albedo? Okay, yeah, just the Albedo orbs. Cool. And now, turn 3, so no poison. We took Pierce there, unfortunate. Gobta got hit, unfortunate. And he got hit again, so already this run is, if you're going for max, is dead. Still gonna continue with it though, because we're gonna do fine. And now we have 87 points, because the greens give us a butt ton of points, and we can use both orb changes here, and we can start using the Despair with Albedo, which is going to give us extra alt gauge on greens, and, you know, put that 5% alt resistance down on them from the Despair effect. You know, big fucking deal, right? But any amount of damage does help us get closer and closer to that 1.4 million damage cap. So every little bit helps, right? And it is helping us get an EX ult for Albedo, because we do need an EX ult for her. This team is not quite as powerful as the other two, where they can get it with just a normal ult. Unfortunate, but it's just the reality of the team. So here, pretty good hand, fully enough. So we can use Rimuru to reset the skills for Nabe. Then we can use the alt swap with Shizu. And the orb changes here, another stack of Despair. We technically could have used Shoutier's Despair as well. We certainly had enough points for it, but I don't. Again, you know, not a perfect run, but there are ways you can improve this. But we have full hand of greens, and that's going to get us very, very close, or no, it's going to get us her EX ult. Perfect. We're sending it against that super tanky ant because we have that nerf on, just like the other couple runs. And now we have the EX ult. We have a lot of points, and we have a lot of fairly powerful buffs, technically, quote-unquote. We have 1 more stack of Rimuru, and then we're going to use the Shizu buff and the Shoutier buff, and then we're going to stun one of them, because it only stuns 1, right? So boom, boom, and then we'll stun the whichever one cares. And then we'll put another stack of Despair on, because, you know, every little bit helps. So that's 15% alt resistance down, plus the 50 that Albedo, or Shizu's doing. And we do 333 and then 568 against the other one, because we also synergied. So that's very nice, and it gets us to 1.2, so not quite the 1.4 million. Again, like if this was optimized, you'd have a better turn 2 hand, and you would have at least 1 more stack of Rimuru. You'd have some more Despair on them from using Shoutiers all the time. And, you know, that eventually would push you up to that 1.4, and also the poison dodge and not being pierced and not having Gobta attack would take your damage down. So this team is very much capable of hitting that max score cap. It's just you need a little bit more stuff to go right for you than some of the other teams, because you have less room for error. but it can definitely get it done. And, people do have Albedo, who were around for the Overlord collab, because they wanted her, so let's put her to use. Alright, the final team is the sad team. I always have a sad team in these videos. Half anniversary team, essentially. Veldora, Milim, Carrion, Hero. And then we've got Water Shuna and free-to-play Rimuru. So we're just going to try and stack up as much as possible on the Hero and go for an AoE ult with her. She's got the crit and the crit resistance down. Carrion's got the crit damage buff. Milim has the space attack buff. And Shuna has the ult buff. And then Protector Veldora is stacking more space attack on the Hero. So it's not a perfect team. It's not going to get you jack shit, but, if it's low units that you got and you need a team to at least get a score in this, then this team can certainly do it. So, coming in, Water Rimuru will take care of turn 1 with those greens. We're not bringing Poison Dodge, obviously. We don't care about taking so much damage that we're not going to hit cap, because we're not hitting damage cap. Nowhere close to that. But we do have a space AoE character. That's the important part. And these units are very old. One of them is free. So, chances are, if you've been playing for a little bit, you have them. Maybe if you don't even have Diablo and, Jean and all that, you can at least maybe make this team, or some variant of it, and you can at least attempt the stage, right? Attempting. As long as you get a score, you're guaranteed rewards, right? So you might as well play it at least once. Use some kind of team. So we're going to use Shuna's Orb Change, and we'll bring Rimuru back in. We're actually going to flip the Hero out, because she's not an EX character. We don't need an EX ult for her. We just want to make sure we get stacks, which we almost forget to use a stack on her. But now we'll send her away. We've got a couple turns to get that back, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. I wanted the full hand of blues more than anything else. And then we'll take Water Rimuru out, put him back in the back where he belongs, so we can maximize his orb converting power. And then we'll send all these orbs against that middle ant with Milim, do some good damage to it, and then we'll bring the Hero back in next turn, and we get a very nice hand as well. Look at that. 5 Milim orbs and a Shuna. So we can bring Water Rimuru in for Milim, convert all of those, and then convert Carrion's orb with Rimuru as well. So, orb change, we've got enough points for it, boom, boom. And there's a full hand of blues, and 5 forthcoming Hero orbs, which gets her close to or gets her an ult. I can't remember. I think it might be very, very close to. But also, we have the rewind ability for her as well. So we can use that to maybe get one extra stack of Veldora somewhere in there. But yeah, it gets us very, very close to her ult. But if you can use a rewind and you can get a little bit extra damage, then perfect. Do it. Did a little bit too much damage with that one. Alright, so AoE, whatever. Here, we have 4 greens, but because of how they laid out, we can actually use Water Rimuru here and change all of them, because we can just bring him in for Carrion and not worry about it too much. We are going to use the rewind, just again to maximize our gauge increase. And then, Rimuru comes in for Carrion. He changes his own orbs, then he'll change the other 2 greens, and we'll be looking good. Now, because of the rewind skill, blues are getting even more protection gauge increase, and we're going to send these on the other ants, because they're not as low as I want them to be, so we're going to do a little bit extra damage to them, and then the rewind will kick in, and we'll just send whatever we have left to, get extra points, I guess. Another stack of Veldora, because we are right there, so we can either use it now or we don't have to. It doesn't really matter. We're going to use one more orb change. If we had a special converter, that'd be very nice, but we don't. So we'll send 5 blues. We have more than enough points to actually nuke with this team, because it's not full of, big time 80 pointers or anything like that. But we did manage to get at least one more stack of Veldora to help our damage out. So hit, hit, and hit. Turn 5, we get 255, so let's use the ult buff, and then we'll bring Carrion and Milim in. Use their buffs and the Hero buff, and we'll have at it, I guess. So, if this is the team you got to run, then so be it. If you have access to some of the newer units, then by all means do that as well. You don't need to hit the huge score cap and get a perfect score. Like, it's very unnecessary. You can get relatively close to it, it's fine. Most points don't come from normal battles. We do 100 or 133 because one of the ants has crit resistance. Not great damage, Definitely missing a million, but, you know, whatever, it is what it is. But there we go. There's 4 teams to take on normal Battle 1, going from tippity-top max score to not max score. But let me know if this video helped you out. That's it for me. Take it easy, guys, and I will see you all later.